Wednesday the 29th of April 2020. Lesson 6. The objective is to understand fractions on a number line. But first of all, let's have a little warm-up. These are all questions that you've covered before. Look at the clock. What is the time? Complete the sequence. What's the fraction of the shape is shaded? How long is the pencil? And what is 8 times 4? Pause the video while you have a go. So here are the answers. The clock shows 10 minutes until 4 o'clock. We can say this as 10 to 4 or 3:50. 50 minutes have gone past 3 o'clock. The sequence is 5 tenths, 6 tenths, 7 tenths, 8 tenths. The shape has 7 sections and 2 of them are shaded, 2 sevenths. Now the pencil starts at the number 4, somebody doesn't know how to use a ruler, and it ends just after 9.5. We count up from 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 centimetres and 9 millimetres. A little bit tricky to see that one. What is 8 times 4? That's 32. Well done. So today's lesson, let's have a look at this number line. This number line shows 0 to 1 and is cut into 4 equal parts. We call these parts fractions. And we write it like this: 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, a whole one. We can also show it in pictures. This shape has been split into 4 equal sections. 1 is shaded for 1/4, 2 is shaded for 2/4. What do you notice about that? Yes, it's the same as a half. 3 is shaded for 3/4 and the whole shape is shaded for a whole one. We can also say that as 4/4. So can you have a go at this number line? Pause the video, make sure you look at the number of sections it has been cut into. Well, let's check. Yes, it was cut into 5 equal parts. And we write those in fractions: 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, a whole. In pictures, we can draw a circle that's cut into 5 sections with 1 shaded, 2 shaded, 3 shaded, 4 shaded, and there we have 5 shaded, which is the whole one. So let's extend that number line. Let's go beyond 1 up to 2. What will the fractions on top be? Well, 1 whole one is the same as 5/5, so we say 6/5, 7/5, 8/5, 9/5. 2 is the 2 whole ones. Now let's look at the pictures. What would it show underneath? Yes, a whole shape is shaded and 1/5. 1 shape and 2/5, 1 whole and 3, 1 whole and 4, and there we have 2 whole shapes, which is 10/5. We write them like this: 1 and 1/5, 1 and 2/5, 1 and 3/5, 1 and 4/5, and 2 whole ones. So what do you notice about the numerators and the denominators on the number line? Well, on this side, I can see all the denominators are 5. The numerators are all less than 5. Therefore, fractions less than a whole have a numerator smaller than the denominator. On this side, again, the denominator is 5, but the numerator is bigger than 5. So fractions greater than a whole one have a numerator greater than the denominator. Now, where would these fractions go on the number line below? It's a little bit tricky. The line hasn't been cut into sections. Now, which fraction do you think is the easiest to start with? Well, I think a half is the easiest fraction. And I'm going to split the number line in half. Then I could put my fraction half in the middle. Now if I've cut it into half, I can cut my line into quarters. And this helps me with another number on the fraction line there. Let's have a look. I've cut it again, this time into eighths. And so we have our half, we had our quarters, and now we have our eighth. And I can place the eighth fraction on the number line now. Let's take away the quarters and let's divide the line into thirds. 1, 2, 3 equal parts. Now I can place the third on the number line. If I've got thirds, if I split the third into half, what will I have? Yes, I'll have sixths. So now I can place the sixth on the number line. So using this number line that we have created, we can compare fractions. A third and an eighth. Is a third greater or less than an eighth? Use the number line. I can see that a third is greater than an eighth. Let's have a look at a sixth and a half. A sixth and a half. I can see that a sixth is less than a half. Well, we're doing fantastic now. Now, we were using unit fractions there. Unit fractions because all the numerators were 1. Now, we see the numerator is more than 1. What do we call these fractions? That's right, non-unit fractions. Now, where would 9/10 go on this number line? Again, it's not been cut into sections for us. I'm going to start by cutting it in half. If I cut it in half, I can then place fifths. On this side, tenths. I've split the number line into tenths, not fifths. Okay, there are 5 on this side and 5 on this side. So now where do I put my 9/10? Well, I could start by going 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10. And there we go. It took me a long time to count all the way up there. Is there a quicker way? Well, I could start here. I know that this is half. Half of 10 is 5. 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10. That was a little quicker. Is there an even faster way? Well, if I start here, 1 whole, I know that 1 whole is 10/10. So let's count backwards. 10/10, 9/10. That was much quicker. So now, let's have a look at this one. We're getting very good at these fractions on a number line. Now, where would these fractions go on the number line below? We have 9/5 and 1 3/4. Now, this number line starts from 0 to 2. If we start with 9/5 and I split my line into 5 equal sections, because the denominator is fifths, can I place 9/5? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I can't place 9/5 because there are not enough fifths. Now, the number line goes up to 2. The halfway mark is 1 whole. So now, if I split my number line from here to 1 into fifths, I split 1 to 2 into fifths, I can now find 9/5. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5, 6/5, 7/5, 8/5, 9/5. And there we have 9/5. Now, pause the video while you have a go at 1 3/4. Remember this time, split the number line from 1 until 2 into 4 sections because the denominator is 4. Here's 1 1/4, 1 2/4, 1 3/4. Just move this to the side and we can see 1 3/4 just comes just before 9/5. Now it's time for the questions. Don't forget to pause the video. So number 1, draw an arrow to show the fractions on the number lines. We have 0 and 1. Where will a half go? Next one, 0 and 1. Where will a third go? And C, 0 to 1. Where will a quarter go? Use these fractions and the number lines to compare in questions 2. Question 3. Write the missing fractions on the number lines. Be sure to read all the sections first. This number line goes from 0 all the way up to 3. This number line goes from 0 to 2, and this one from 0 to 2 again. Using these number lines, can you find 3 fractions that are equivalent to 1 whole? Place them in the boxes. What do you notice about the numerator and the denominator in whole fractions? Question 4. Draw an arrow to estimate where each fraction belongs on the number line. Remember to use the denominator to show how many sections to cut your line into. On this one, look at the number line. It's 0 to 1 and 1 to 2. The fraction is bigger than 1, 1 2/3. Make sure you cut your fractions and your number line into the denominator. Question 5. Write each fraction under the correct heading. Look at these fractions. Can we find the ones that are equal to a whole? Place them in the table, cross them off when you've used them. Now remember, less than a whole. What does the numerator have less than the denominator if it's a whole? When it's more than a whole, what is the numerator compared to the denominator? Question 6. What fraction is shown in each diagram? Draw an arrow to show the fraction on the number line. Here we have 3 and 3 and 1 whole. Have a look to see where it goes on the number line. Here we have some circles split into the equal sections. How many are shaded? Can you place them on the number line? And number 7, our last one, Teddy says that 1/8 is greater than 1/4. Can you use this number line to show whether he is correct or not correct? There's 0, there's 1. Remember to cut the number line into sections to show 8ths and quarters, and then you can compare. So here are the answers. Pause the video while you check your work. Great work today, Year 3. Remember, emailing work equals dojos. Please stay at home and stay safe. Thank you and see you tomorrow.